Okay. I just want to share a little more thoughts. Um, I kind of felt bad about something that I explained about myself when I said I went to cut the collar off of the mama dog in the video about myself, um, explaining who I am. Um, I know that might upset some people, like, why didn't I call, for somebody that knows how to handle the animals properly? Why didn't I, call someone? Well, I was 15 and, I didn't really think for myself and I really just followed my mom's instructions and she was the one that instructed me to cut the collar off of the mama dog. Um, so if anybody feels I should have called the proper authorities to come get the dogs that were a pack of three, you're right. That should have been done. I agree. But like I said, I was 15. Didn't even cross my mind. I probably didn't even know there was somebody to call at that time. Unless my mom told me there was someone to call and to call them, I really wouldn't have known. So I was doing the best I knew how to do with what I knew how to do at the moment, and that was pretty much doing what I was told to do. Um, so yeah. Um, That is true. The right authorities should have been called. But I didn't know at the time. I was only 15, so gonna have to forgive me for that. But I'm older now, and I know much better. And I feel when there's an animal that's in need, if I can handle it, I don't mind handling it. But if it's something like that incident again, where the dog has a collar embedded in their skin and something I clearly don't have the medical expertise to take care of, yeah, I would call the authorities that would come take the dog and make sure she was properly taken care of. That's what I would do now. I also want to talk a little bit more on those thoughts that I was talking about, like, with relationships. And, I think I was pretty much trying to express also that, men and women, they just pretty much have their own different language. And you kind of, and each individual man and each individual woman are just so different. You kind of just have to learn about them and get to know them. And when you hang around someone long enough, you start acting like them. So, if you find your significant other used to love potato chips and now they hate them like you do, and you love them like your significant other did, and even though you used to hate them. I don't know what's up with that. I think it's kind of strange, but this stuff actually does happen, and sometimes I notice it frustrates spouses and significant others. They're like, "Why are you changing? This is not you. I knew you like this, and now you don't like it when I buy you potato chips anymore because you used to love them, and now you hate them." And, well, yeah, you're right. It might be a bit frustrating, but the truth is they're growing and they're changing with you. So in a relationship, it is a lot that you're always going to have to constantly learn about this person and grow with them because they're not going to be the same person they were 5 years ago. Um, they're going to change, and some of their things of changing will be them becoming like you, and some you too are changing. So, just try not to get too frustrated and realize you're both learning and growing together. Um, and just keep the communication and keep learning and growing and keep the love. But I also want to talk a little bit something different because I noticed after I talked about that, I know some relationships, it's much, much more complicated than just miscommunication and much more deeper problems than men not understanding to say beautiful rather than that's nice, and women not understanding that that's nice means you're gorgeous. Sometimes in relationships, and I've definitely seen a lot of relationships like this, which is a reason why I was probably so very protective of my own heart of getting into a relationship myself one day. Um, because a lot of people in relationships they end up hooking up with or marrying that one manipulator, somebody who really just didn't care about them to begin with, and it's very, very sad. Um, I just wanted to get into that a little bit because I didn't want anybody to feel like, okay, I have communicated, it's not working. Okay, I understand nice is also means beautiful. Um, okay, I'm communicating and not expecting to read my mind, but nothing's working this out. Um, I just want you to know it's not your fault. Uh, and I'm sorry I didn't mention that in the last video. I really didn't think about it till after I was done. Um, but yeah, just it's not your fault. And I hope whoever you are, you just know that. I've watched a lot of women get hurt. I've also seen a lot of men get hurt. It really manipulation doesn't have a certain sex. It doesn't have a certain race. It doesn't have a certain whatever. It's really just a person who decided to hurt like they've been hurt, or they decide to hurt because they just grew up a spoiled brat, to be honest. And so they have no remorse because they weren't taught to have remorse. They feel entitled and they're selfish. Um, and I always feel bad, for these people. A lot of them are my friends. Uh, like some family members, one particular friend I know about, they're one that they trusted and loved, had cheated on them. And there was a lot more going on than just the cheating, though. And like my friend in particular, I feel bad for them. I mean, this girl just, she would get cranky with him about his own house. You know, his place is supposed to be his place of peace, and she would get cranky with him because it wasn't clean enough, and she'd get angry with him because he wasn't brushing his hair right. Um, like, how obsessive do you have to be to get angry with someone about how they brush their hair? So it seemed like the girl clearly had control issues. Um, and, she cheated on him. It's like, well, not to say my friend didn't have things to work on, and he did work on those things. So I'm very proud of him. Uh, but, it's kind of like my baby sister. Um, she's so focused on what she thinks you need to fix, even when they're not really that bad things. Absolutely ignorant of the things they need to fix. She's angry with him because he's not brushing his hair right, and there she is cheating on him. It's like, I think you need to learn how to have a little bit of loyalty first, because I think that's a bigger problem than, how someone brushes their hair. But okay. And my sister, she, I like I had mentioned in a video before, got angry because I didn't throw away 2 pieces of trash for her, that she could have thrown away herself. Um, and act like I'm lazy, even though I'm the one that cleaned the house. So it's like, you're gonna get upset with me over these tiny little things of not doing things for you, rather than get upset with yourself for not just acting like an adult doing it yourself. So I know there's some relationships out there that it's not miscommunication. There's something much more deeper and bad and not good going on. And this person, sometimes they're going to demean you, they're going to belittle you, they're going to make you feel like you're nothing. I mean, depress you and make you angry and frustrated and hurt all at the same time. Where you don't know if you love this person or if you want to just watch them disappear somehow and just vanish. And it puts your head in a very confusing state. Um they're manipulative, and they know what they're doing, and they're good at it. They'll hurt you and demean you in all these ways, and then sometimes just look at you and go, "I love you." Just a small glint of the person you thought you fell in love with, just to hook you in. And then they're right back to doing dirty, nasty little things and making it feel like it's your fault why they're doing it. Rather than take responsibility and owning up to it's their own fault why they do what they do. They should have some self control. Nobody's temper is their fault but their own. Um, I probably can't go into explaining to teach somebody to know if they're in a bad relationship or an abusive relationship, because frankly, a lot of people that are in them, they just don't know. Um, kind of like me with my family, I made a lot of excuses for them. You don't want to see it. Um, I don't know if there's really a way to teach somebody to know these things. It's just eventually you come to terms with it. And if there's somebody in a bad relationship right now, I really genuinely hope you come to terms and realize it's not your fault. And I'm so sorry, but there is not enough love in the world that's going to help this person. You can love them with everything until your last breath, and it's really not going to save them. Um, if they are feeding off of and leeching off of your love, it is because they lack self love. That is only something they themselves can teach themselves to do. Um, my family treats me like shit sometimes, but still nonetheless, nobody could teach me I was worthy or to love myself but myself. And it's not fair that that's how life is. That I had to teach myself these things, but you know, you either grow up and learn to overcome, or you keep sitting there like a child, staying a victim in your mind and then victimizing others. Which I did not ever do, but others I have noticed that have gone through pain, they do that. Um, and I think that's because they want someone to blame and be hurt the way they hurt. They want someone to be blamed for all of it. Um, Rather than realize bad things happen and I'm sorry. I really am, but it's nobody's fault. It is nobody's fault with you having a bad attitude. It is nobody's fault why this person hurt you. It's their fault for hurting you, but everybody else, it is nobody's fault why that person hurt you. I could have just done what my family does, and that's I hurt so bad, I want someone to hurt and be blamed for why they did to me what they do to me. But the truth is, it's nobody's fault. But what is my fault is how I choose to react to what I go through or what I've gone through. I can either hurt people, or I can either grow up and make myself a better person and, try to make the world a little bit better as best I can. Um, so, please understand, if you're in a bad relationship, it's not your fault. This person also had a choice. They could be an asshole, or they could grow up and learn to better themselves. So there is not enough love in this world that you can give that's going to help them. They have to learn to overcome that on their own, and they have to learn self-love on their own. I have to learn self-love. I can't expect people to give me enough love until I feel loved. Truth is, they could love me with everything, and I'm not going to feel it until I accept it inside myself that I love myself. And so I accept love that comes to me. If I don't believe in love in myself, then I won't believe anybody else loves me. I'll be like, they're just faking it. They're just lying. This is something my mom does to herself too. A lot of friends have offered to help get her out. A lot of friends have said they'll be there for her, that she can come stay with them until she gets on her feet. But she doesn't believe it for one moment. She doesn't think anybody's really going to be there for her. She doesn't think they really care. The truth is, she doesn't think she's worth anybody caring for her. The truth is, she doesn't have that self-love and self-care herself. So lacking it within, and that believing and that problem, she puts the blame externally instead of internally, out on somebody else rather than inward on herself to say, well, I need to learn self-love. I need to love myself because I am loved. But I need to love myself. That's my point. If anybody's in a bad relationship right now, whether you're being abused or you're just married to an asshole or a bitch, it's not your fault. It's not your fault at all. This person has got issues. And they're going to keep blaming you. And even after you leave them, they're going to blame the next person after that. And if nobody takes them, they'll still find someone else to blame, whether it be a family member or a friend or a coworker. They're going to find someone to blame that has nothing to do with all their problems. And it's because they need to learn self-love. They need to learn self-respect. They need to learn to have all those things that they want others to have for them. And they don't understand or see that others do have it for them. But they lack seeing that others have that for them because they don't see it in themselves or love themselves. They lack it in themselves. And, when someone lacks that inside themselves, they also lack giving it out because they don't have it for themselves to give. It's kind of like a glass of water. You don't have any water to share if you don't have water. You have to go retrieve water yourself for you to be able to drink and no longer be thirsty, and also to share with others so they can drink. Um, that's the way I look at it emotionally, mentally, in a loving way. If they're not being kind or loving, it's because they lack it in themselves. And if they don't believe you love them, it's because they lack self-love. So I would just want to say, please, to anybody, do not think this is your fault. It is not your fault. And sorry, the truth is the best thing to do with them is not to be in a relationship with them because they will drain you dry. They're going to drain you dry of your love. They're going to drain you dry of emotion. They're going to drain you dry mentally. They really will. Sometimes it gets bad to where you develop anxiety, you develop stress, you develop depression. All in all, this is not healthy for you. And I know you love that person. You probably just want to be with them and see the good in them. But the truth is, they're not going to be better until they see the good in themselves and do better for themselves and have self-love. And there's nothing you can do to help them. They have to do this themselves. And the likelihood of them actually achieving this is not likely. I wish I could say something different and that, it's like a fairy tale and all good things will happen in the end. But, with my family and growing up in the environment I've grown up in, I can't tell you that and honestly mean it. From personal experience, I can tell you I don't think my mom's ever going to change, or my dad. They've seen how many counselors and they don't take the help. Um, and beyond them, my dad's parents, and my mom's mom. I don't want to say my mom's dad. We didn't hardly get to know them, because her mom kept him away, and but we're getting to know his family now. Sadly, he passed away the same year I was born, so I didn't get to know my grandfather on my mom's side. She didn't hardly even get to see her dad either, so I can't say that their family looks like they have any problems though. And there is some family that I do have that are really good people, like my great aunt and her husband, who was my great uncle who passed away. Um, Sweetest people in the world I've ever known. So not all my family is messed up. I'm just saying, though, the ones that are really messed up, they have never changed. And I'm not going to tell you the person you're with right now is going to change either. They probably won't. My biggest suggestion is just, do for yourself right now and go where you're appreciated and loved. You can forgive this person because they don't mean to. In a sense, they do, but in a sense, they don't. Um, they just are very prideful and they don't know they are. And at the same time, they say mean things and they mean it, but they don't conceive how that's prideful or mean to do so. So it's like they do it intentionally, but they do it unintentionally. It's very complicated and confusing. I don't usually want to suggest people break up with someone or, get on with your life, but in this case, I very much would. But, you know, best to, whoever is in a relationship like that, and I guess do what your heart tells you to do and what you feel to do. Um, I personally am trying to stay out of that kind of crap, but, like I said, I'm not here to tell people what to do. Though I would suggest not to not to stay in that relationship, but it's okay to forgive them. But yeah, that's all. You have a good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, and yeah, goodbye now.